Happy Monday. Thanks for joining me tonight for a craft night with friends. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for beginners. And I'm here every weeknight, Monday through Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's a time that we can relax and craft together. So thanks again so much for joining me. Tonight we are starting the letter C cat. We are working on our ABC alphabet. We're going to make a whole quilt out of it. So the first full week and the second week, this is sort of, it's not March quite yet, but it's pretty much almost a full week. So we are starting the C today, but like for the first full week of the month and the second week of the month, we are going to be stitching on this alphabet, and we're going to start the cat today. So thanks again for joining. Let's get going here. And since it is the last bit of the month, that means there's a new embroidery of the month tomorrow. So here is our embroidery of the month for February still. So this is the last time to get the kit with the freebie and everything. The kit will still be available, but at its normal price, and then it won't have the freebie anymore either. So tonight's a good time to get that. It's also the last day to get the fabric-only version of the embroidery of the month. So check that out, and it's before 10 p.m. Central Time. I'll be switching everything over at 10 p.m. here. All right, you guys, let's get going. I have my tray of... I'm going to scoot you guys on over. I have my tray of all our floss. This is from that whole set of floss. I'm just going to kind of see how far it takes us on making these ABCs, and we'll just see how that goes. So again, here's our B. We colored this one in. We color tinted this one. I'm going to zoom you guys on down a little bit. And so we colored it in. It looks almost tie-dyed a little bit, which is kind of fun. And then we have letter A here as well. So letter A, we did this one exactly how the pattern showed it, and sand stitch the letters. I think we're going to do that with the letter C today as well. Oh, you love the tray. So I did order some more of these strawberry trays in some different colors. So they should be coming towards the end of March, I think. But they're really fun because they have this little container. Sometimes I put like my needle minder or, needle in there, and then other times this will be like my mini trash can while I work. I like it. And then I can just, move to the couch if I need to, because I just keep everything for the project right on the tray. They're just perfect size for that. Oh, yes, Kimberly. Kimberly says, I hope you're going to share all the beautiful work we did on Saturday. So Saturday we had a long, what did it end up being, like 5.5 hours. We did a 5.5 hour stitch along, and we made the samples for the first blooms flower kit. So I'll show you all of them. So we have the daffodil. So we did all of these except for one on Saturday in like one long binge of stitching, which was tiring. We have the tulips. So I took photos and some video of all of these today. This is the one that we did on Thursday, so we did this one a little bit earlier. The crocuses, and then we got the grape hyacinth. I just really like how all those little purples and that little bit of blue just turned out so nice for those. And then lastly, we have the snowdrops. I feel like I'm seeing like snowdrop graphics everywhere these days. It's almost time for them. It's probably past time for some people, but not for us here yet. So that's our grouping of 5. Do check out, I don't think I put the link on it, but if you go to just penguinandfish.com, up in the top nav, there'll be a link to the First Blooms collection. Make sure you get on that list, and that list is in that product. Instead of a buy button, it has an email me when it's available. Make sure to get on that list because we will announce to that list first when these kits are available as a bundle, as individual kits, and as PDFs. So, Lynn, nope, they are not available as PDFs yet. They will be going up when we release all those, and it's going to be soon, but we're not going to announce it until we've announced it to the people on that list. So the people who click that email me when this is available, they're going to get a special deal on the bundle as well, and it'll be for like just a day, and then we'll announce it to everyone else. So sign up for that, and then keep your eyes open for an email at some point soon for all of those kits. So I took the photos for them today, so I'll be making mock-ups of the kits and making all the kits up really soon here. All right, I have my little I don't need this quite yet, but I need my paper towel today, and I need my pressing mat. We'll get to that. But let's check out our kitty cat here. That was fun, though. That was fun just hanging out on Saturday. I think I did it from noon till 5:30. And I did go for a nice long walk. It was beautiful outside. And I think I just chilled for the rest of the day. All right. So in the pattern, there is the traceable pattern. So this you could just trace your fabric directly through, or you can copy this onto a piece of stick and stitch. Just trace it onto a piece of stick and stitch stabilizer and use that if you want. So this is a nice thing to have around, just if you want to use it on something else, or like to keep reusing it. And then you have the Iron Me one, and that's the one that we're going to use today again. So this is reversed and print with iron on ink. We have some instructions. These are some older patterns, so I do recommend going to our website, and in the blog there's stitches. There we have video on how to do every stitch and more detailed instructions. This is kind of, we're resurrecting this project. It's kind of like the 10-year anniversary of it almost, so we've improved our instructions a little bit since then. But all right, first thing, to transfer this, I want to cut off the Iron Me text right there, because that will transfer. So I'm just going to cut that off. Oh, Kimberly only has one band left on her sweater. She was stitching or knitting her sweater on Saturday. Oh, you guys. Oh, Anne says, I love the back of the tulips so much. Oh, let me look at the back of the tulips. Of these tulips? Where are you? There's the back. I do actually kind of like the thick lines. It would be fun to do some thick lines. We talked about doing a thread painting of one of these, and I think the tulip would be really nice to do that, because we could get some really pretty different shading, like colors blending into other colors in these petals. I think that would be really fun to do sometime. All right, let's get these guys out of the way and get all the things that we need to transfer this design. Oh, Gretchen says, I'm so sad I missed Saturday sewing it. Oh, it's Mardi Gras festivities and the Hubs is Cajun. Using your embroidery scissors on paper, isn't that against the law? I know, that's true. All right, I'm going to stitch it on this little guy today. So let's transfer this cat design. So first of all, I'm going to press this. This is a little wrinkled. So I'm going to give this guy a press. And you also, even if it's not wrinkled, you do want to press your fabric to preheat it. So I'm on the cotton setting, and I'm fully heated up for this. So you really do want to preheat the fabric. That's important for doing this. And actually, what I need to do first is put down my paper towel. This is going to protect my pressing surface. You probably wouldn't see it on my wool mat, but because the weave has, holes in between each thread, some of the ink might transfer through to your iron, or to your ironing board, which you don't want. So get a little piece of paper under there to work. So for the iron-on, I'm going to flip it so the ink is down, and I'm going to just kind of eyeball it in the center here. And then I'm going to place the iron right on top. I don't want to move too much, but it should only take like 5 seconds or so. Yeah, we're already good there. So just keep pressing and then peek to see if it's transferring, and I think we're totally good already. Yeah, there we are. So I probably could have stayed on these little areas more, but I checked, and that's plenty good enough for me. And the nice thing is that you can use this about 5 times. You might have to put it on a couple more seconds each time you do it, but you should be able to use it a bunch of times. So I'm going to actually save this. Actually, you know what? Let's do one more. I've kind of been doing an extra of each because we've been talking about making that stitched book, like a fold-up like fabric book. And I love that idea. I have not stitched any of them to do that yet, but, I can start by transferring the design, I suppose. So let's just do a second one right away. So preheating the fabric, again, this is super important. Will you use the same background fabric for all your squares? Yes. So I'm going to use this muslin for all of my squares, Gretchen. Later this week, I am hoping to chat more about how I'm going to do this in a quilt and give you guys some measurements and stuff on that. So I'll have more info on that soon. All right. And again, you don't want to move your iron around too much because you don't want to shift anything. Because that'll give you like a fuzzy line if it's moving. Oh, we're plenty good here. Oh yeah. Plenty good. There we are. Yeah, I can for sure get a few more times out of this. So I'm going to save that. And there we go. Yeah, you can kind of see the transfer on here a little bit. So that's what would have gone on your ironing board. So that's no good. So, okay, let's move that. This is the one I'll save for later. And we'll stitch on this one tonight. Okay, so next up, let's just look at our instructions again. So on the back of the cover here is the stitches that we're using. So we're using a back stitch primarily, all the outlines, a seed stitch, those are just like little tiny dashes, and then the satin stitch for these letters. And I think we will maybe do these satin stitches again. Ooh, original kitty cat. You gave me ideas. That's awesome. You'll have to let me know. Let me know what ideas you have. So I think this is going to go pretty quick. The longest part will probably actually just be satin stitching the C's, and then we'll be doing that. I'm going to try and satin stitch them where I keep them at an angle, which will be kind of a challenge, but I think that might be fun to try. So let's see if I did that on the original one here. Yeah, so it kind of goes, you can see the stitches kind of keep going around like the center of like the radius of it sort of thing. Versus like them all like going straight horizontal or up and down or whatever. So we'll try and repeat that. So I do have, this looks crazy now, but this did start as 23 nice little bits like this, but I'm going to try and use just those 23 and see how far I can get with this collection. Feel free to use whatever colors you want on these designs. I don't even say the colors on here. This is before I was selling or before I had any floss that I particularly use or any colors that I use, so it's all kind of random. So go with your gut on the colors. I think I'm going to try and do it as close to this as possible. So let's just kind of pick out what we have here. It looks like a nice deep purple. then, and I mean, we could really do any color. Should we do a different color? Like, I'm kind of, all of a sudden, like, this gray looks really cute. We could just do a little gray kitty. Should we do a gray kitty? Do I have any variegated thread for the letter C? I don't, Linda, but that would be really pretty. Oh, Robin, I'm so sorry to hear that. Giving you hugs from here. Oh, man, I'm sorry, Robin. Kimberly says, Chad, Kitty. Lydia, late but here. Glad you could make it. Robin, I'm glad you could make it. Sending you sparkles. All right. I'm kind of liking the gray. But I don't know now. Do you guys think we should do... Oh, you have sublimation stuff, so this would be fun. Oh, that's a great idea. Original kitty cat. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of for colors. For some reason, that gray was just popping out at me, but I do sort of want to do the colors that were in here, too. This was maybe a brighter orange. We do have this California poppy. That's probably closer. Let's pick 2 color palettes, and then we can see. Yellow. I think this is probably yellow. Oh my god, what a mess. Alright, so I think this is probably the original palette plus some black. We need black too. I think I'm just making this into more of a mess. I need a strategy for this a little bit, I think. So I'm kind of feeling like trying a different color palette out, though. We could do a gray. T-Bird, you like the gray? I know, I'm kind of feeling the gray. And I don't know, this is pretty with the gray. We could do this for the letter C, maybe. Or I don't know, should we just do gray and orange? That's kind of cute, right? So we could still keep the stripies orange and the ball of yarn orange. Then what for the letter? I'm just trying to pick like a cute palette. Like we could almost, like, now this is jumping out at me. We could do like these 3 colors. That'd be kind of cute. Purples and grays. Ooh, let's try we could do a purple. What if we did purple and grays? Oh, I kind of like this orange. So why don't we do orange and gray for the kitty, and then we could do purple for the letter. I kind of want something to pop a little bit more. Man, I wasn't planning on going down this road of changing up colors, but now I'm feeling it. Oh, I still like the orange. I'm getting totally distracted, you guys. Green for the letters. Let's check that. We have a bunch of this pale green. Ooh, that's kind of pretty. Here's some black we can use later, it looks like. This might be just enough for his face. What about these 3 colors? That's kind of pretty. Like this for the letter C. Ooh, we really don't have much of this left. We'll use up a lot of this for the satin stitch. He'll have little green toes then, which will be kind of funny. I mean, we could switch those too, but I think I'll go with like the placement of all of these colors, but just changing it up a little bit. All right, I like this. Let's just go with that. Definitely was not planning on doing that. I was gonna do the exact same colors as in here, but it was calling to me. Oh, that's true. Marsha says do purple for the ball of yarn and turquoise for the letters. I mean, we could do different colors for each of those, right? So what if we did gray and orange for the kitty still? Where'd that turquoise go? What about something like this? What if let's see. What if the ball of yarn is green and then the letters are this blue, and then up here those letters can be blue too? Unless they should be green. For some reason I'm liking the green letters. So let's do the ball of yarn blue, and then the letters here and the letters up here both green. And maybe we'll make the speech bubble blue too, because why not? All right, good enough. I think we'll start with the outline of the kitty, and that's gray. So we'll start there and work our way around. We'll make decisions as we go a little bit. All right, so I got all those to the side here. I'm gonna just take my scissors off this tray and my needle, because they're getting sucked into the abyss of my floss. Yeah, Kimberly says, living on the wild side today, and it's only Monday. I know, right? All these decisions are freaking me out. Oh, yeah, so the gray is thunder. Here are the colors. So the gray is thunder, the green is the celery, the orange I'm using is Euro Peach, and the blue I'll be using is Winter Morning, and then I do have the black, which is ink. But yeah, so those are, because there are a couple different oranges, a couple different grays and blues, so those are the ones. All right, I'm putting the inner hoop underneath my little key cat here, kind of centering it, and then I'm loosening the closure so it's bigger on the outer hoop, and I'm just going to place that right on top and push it so it's even with the other one, and let's just tighten it enough so that it holds. And once it feels like it's going to stay in place, then I'll start pulling all the way around and just kind of, and then tightening it as I go, just trying to get it taut in here, or just like kind of evenly stretched, let's call it. I'm not really even stretching it out. I'm just kind of like making it flat again, getting all the loose bits out. Oh, do I use the color dots on the selvage? Trying to learn how to pick colors for sewing. Oh, that's a smart way to do it. That's a good way. Desperately trying to learn how to pick colors. Oh, you know what? We did do, if you watch like this is for the granny square quilt that we did. You know, we're not actually done with it yet. I do have a plan for that though that I thought of this weekend. So I'll talk about that. But if you go to the first video of the granny square quilt, so if on my YouTube, if you go to find the granny square quilt playlist, and if you just type that in, it should pop up. And then go to the very first video. We go over how we picked the colors for that quilt. That might be valuable if you have a hard time picking colors for a project. That's how I went through the whole process of choosing color for that. It involved like Pinterest and looking up ideas and just like really kind of grouping some photos there and using that as my guide to pick fabrics. That might be helpful. I believe it is the first video from the Granny Square quilt project. All right, I'm going to pop off these little dudes. Have you ever used one of those PVC type frames for needlework? I have, Kimberly. We actually have them in the shop. They're not called the Q-snap things, but anyway, they're in our shop in the supply section. They're nice. I really like them for a little larger piece than this, and then I used it for hand quilting. They worked great for that. So it's kind of fun. I do like using it. All right, so I'm going to cut my 24 inches or so. I'm not going to do that loop method like what we did all day on Saturday, because I am going to use 3 strands of floss with this. All of these designs, the originals, were stitched with 3 strands, and I'm going to kind of repeat that. I suppose we wouldn't have to for everyone, but as a general guideline, I'm going to be using 3 strands of floss. Ugh, you guys, it was 40 degrees. It was summer outside today. I would not mind if it stayed at least that warm for a little while. That'd be nice. So we gotta walk and, I gotta wear my other hat. I didn't have to wear my giant fur hat. I wore that my brother's crocheted wool hat. So one level down in the warmth, but, still a wool hat. There we are. Okay. So I think instead of the away knot, I'm going to do that method where I just leave a little bit of thread out on the front, enough to weave in and make 1 stitch, and which is basically like doing an away knot. We're just reserving a piece of floss to weave in later, but it kind of is one less step to do. So let's see. Where should we start? Maybe the tail? I kind of want to start. For some reason, my eyeball is going right to here. I think I might start this little foot, go around his whole body here. Ooh, his face looks a little distorted. I'm going to just make sure that all my fabric's pulled. All right. Yeah, I think I'm going to start there. So I'm going to leave room for like 1 stitch, and I'm going to just leave like 4 inches or so at the end there. This is kind of a weird way of doing it, but we did it yesterday, or not yesterday, but a couple days ago, and it kind of worked out nicely. So, all right, and then I'm going to go 1 stitch down. I do maybe a little shy of 1/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to go back to that same spot that our fabric, or that our thread is pulled out there. And that's going to be our first back stitch. And then this guy, I'm just going to let hang out there, and we will finish him later once I have this 1 piece of thread done. I forget whose whole idea this was over on YouTube, I think, but I used it for the cat, not this cat, the embroidery of the month, Chad Kitty, the catnap under the jade. Let me grab that again. This guy, and it worked just really easily for the cat part. It's just a different way of starting, which was kind of fun. All right, I'm going to leave his little toes for later. Oh, your drive is a sheet of ice. Ugh, that's not fun. That's how ours was, like, kind of the last couple days, and then today, between yesterday and today, it melted a bit. So that's been nice. This is going to be a sweet little gray kitty. So if you want to write something else in the speech bubble before you iron it on, you could actually cut that part out and iron it on either without the speech bubble completely or just without the text, and then you could write in other text if you want. I know when I did this, our old kitty that we had was definitely a maru sort of cat. So, if you have a kitty and it's just like a little meow, some other sound that it makes, feel free to put in whatever kind of meow you want, or any other text. But he was a meow, meow, meow. Poor kitty. That was the cat. Cat's name for that was Kitty. Our first kitties were Kitty and Catty from the farm. Grandma and Grandpa's farm cats. Oh, Kimberly says my real kitty is a pretty gray. Like that really soft, nice gray. Like I like those cats that are like that all over pretty gray. Like that, just a matte gray. That's a nice color. I think that's why my eyeballs went like directly to this gray sitting in my tray. So now this guy's getting a little annoying over here. I'm going to set him down there. We'll weave in the ends for the beginnings of the next stitches. But we just left it out here for that first one because we didn't have any stitches to weave in. I don't like having knots on the back of my embroidery because I don't like when my thread accidentally gets caught on those knots. So I like weaving in my ends instead. Ooh, green eyes. Oh, we should do... Oh, the eyes on here are just outlines. We could almost fill them in with satin stitch and then do the outline, but I think we'll just... Oh, maybe. I think I'll just outline them with the black still. Oh, she has white mittens and a white chest. That's nice. Such a good kitty. I definitely had to crack my back a few times, roll on the roller a little bit after that 5.5 hour stitch session on Saturday. But not too bad, so I think all that stretching in the middle helped a bit. Ugh, I can't wait to send out the embroidery of the months tomorrow to you guys. So the March embroidery of the months, I have them all ready. They just need names and shipping labels, and then they'll go out. They might even go out tomorrow already. The last kind of stitch that goes to the corner, I always like to go do a forward stitch instead of a back stitch, because then I can start the next back stitch and I won't have like a little jump. It'll just look like it's in line with the lines on the front. Like here too, so I'm just gonna go in that same hole here and then go forward instead. Because then now when I start this line, I'm not jumping from this point to this point on the back. I'm jumping from this point to this point. So you won't see like a little jump on the back. Oh, Kimberly, speaking of knitting, so you guys, so I have a TikTok for this that I'm going to be posting tomorrow, but I'll share it with you guys tonight. You know, I've been talking about doing one of those snake like door thingies to block the draft, but just like as a toy, like because my grandma had them when we were little, and I saw one when I was at my parents' house again, and would be like, oh, that's cute to make. So I actually started one. Let me grab it for you guys. I even put it in a basket because it's like a snake in a basket. But here he is. Look at him. I got a little crocheted tongue on him already. I got the eyes on him already, and I am starting the stripes. So the stripes are just going to be this dark pink, and then this or dark purple or purpley pink, and then this light purple, and it's going to have these white, smaller pearled stripes in the middle that are kind of poofed up. But anyway, so I started a knitting project, and I got to use my double-pointed needles for that too. But so I had to share that. We'd been talking about knitting for a while here, and I was like, I gotta start a knitting project, and I couldn't deal with it anymore. I had to do it yesterday. All right, I'm gonna weave in these ends. I think it's turning out so cute. I was gonna make it super duper scrappy, but then when I looked through all my yarn scraps, most of my tiny little balls of yarn were wool, and I didn't know if I wanted to use wool, and I happen to have a bunch of that yarn, and that yarn is probably like 30 years old, and it was from, I have it here, it was from one of the first projects I crocheted. So I was attempting to crochet a chevron baby blanket, and I think it might have been one of the first things I crocheted, and it was a totally unfinished project. I never finished it, and then like years later I sewed it into my pencil bin here just because I didn't get very far with it, so I turned it into, oh shoot. There's all my pencil shavings everywhere. Ugh, I'll have to clean that up later. But it got turned into this little guy, so it's the same colors from that project from ages and ages and ages and ages ago. But yeah, so I feel like I'm slow motion recycling. I'm finally using yarn that I had from forever ago. Maybe I'll even get them used up. All right, and I don't have quite enough thread to weave back the other way, so I'm going to do it with the eye of the needle. I like weaving it back and forth 3 times, and I forgot to count. This might actually be the 4th time, I don't know. Stick it through there. Ugh, those pencil shavings are such a mess. There we are. So we'll trim that little bit, and now let's go to the front and finish all this lead everywhere. Let's finish up this little thread that we left on the front. So I'm going to make that last stitch, which is really the first stitch right there. And I'm going to weave that in as well. So that's 1, 2, and 3. There we are. Kitty. All right, more gray, please. So this is the second half of that 6 strands. This is the second half of the 3 that we split already for here. So now I'm just going to weave in to the stitches we already have on top here. Oh, Jennifer, I would say try restarting. Oh, my chat on YouTube seems like it's messed up. So if you're chatting on YouTube, I might not be able to see it, unfortunately. All right, I'm going to weave in the ends in the same spot here. It's actually pretty thick. I think I must have gone through here. Maybe an extra time. 1, 2, 3, and now I'm going to just start right up where I left off. Actually, I'm going to start with that forward stitch since it's the last stitch towards that corner. There we are. Now we can do back stitch for the rest. Kitty and Caddy, they came together from Grandma and Grandpa's farm. Then later we had Sammy. Sammy came from a garbage in Wisconsin Dells, I think. My brother and his girlfriend brought him home, or her home. Sammy, I think they were all girls. And then after Sammy was Chad. And Chad was again just sitting in the ditch, and my cousin came over and was like, there's a cat there, and brought him up, and he was just scared and stayed in the garage, and Dad was feeding him in the garage, and he was just super scared, and then we coaxed him out, and he'd follow us everywhere, but then he'd it was like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. He was really shy, and then that night he just cried and cried and cried outside, and then after that he would just kind of meow, and he was just really chatty, and that's where the name came from. So he's Chad, because he was pretty chatty when he was first around. Then he grew up to be the bestest, biggest little kitty. I like when cats have fun adult names. I think they're funny. I like human names. Chad, kitty. Talked to Mom and Dad today, and they said they went for a walk, and Chad came with them for it through the woods. All right, we're almost, I guess we're not, but it feels like we're almost done with this thread already too. This is going to be a speedy one, but like I said, I think that the letters are going to take some time, and then I think we can definitely talk about the plan for stitching this. We're going to do a quilt as you go technique. I'm hoping to do a little video of that on TikTok tomorrow as well, but so what I need for that, I'm going to work out some measurements and stuff for you guys if you want to do the quilt as you go in a similar way to what I'm doing. And I'll talk about that a little bit in the next few days. But really what we're going to need to start out is a batting piece that's about as big as this square, so about a 10-inch batting piece, and about a 10-inch back piece. So like whatever you want the back color to be, and it could be patchwork, meaning it could be a bunch of different colors. You could choose a different back for each one. And that's what we're initially going to need for this process. And then we'll actually be quilting each of these little guys. I think I'm going to go up, I'm going to do one more stitch, and then I'm going to go up the tail and come back down. And I'll have some like real measurements and a blog post and all that on how I'm going to do the quilt part of this, probably this week sometime, hopefully. So that is coming. But yeah, but since we're going to probably get this one done pretty quick, we can actually get started on some of that and maybe even quilt one or two of these. And then next week, we will be starting the letter D, which is the dog. So cats and dogs this month. We had 2 dogs at different times growing up. We had Chip and then we had Kirby. It was a black lab and a yellow lab. I think I would definitely choose cats over dogs, though, now. Dogs are great. They have tons of personality and stuff, but cats are just their own little, like, wizards. I think they're funny. Oh, Jennifer says all your embroidery squares would look great in a quilt, something like the koala quilt. Yes, so it'll be similar to that. I did do a quilt of all these animals in the past, and I'm going to do a similar layout. So it's going to be 5 squares by 6 squares, so 30 total, but there's only 26 letters, right? So in each of those corners, the corner squares are going to just be something else, like maybe a pattern fabric, or maybe we stitch something else in those. And then the rest will be the alphabet. So the top row will have 3 letters, so A, B, C, and then 5 letters in all the next rows, and then the last row will have X, Y, Z in the middle of the bottom 3. So that's kind of the layout, and I'll talk about that. And then I'll have a photo of that coming up. And then I'm going to do the quilt as you go process, which means I'm going to do very sort of similar to the Splendid Sampler 2. It's going to have just that like 1/2 inch sashing in between each one, but I'm not going to do the little cornerstones, I don't think. It's just going to have sashing in between each square, and then like one long piece of sashing for in between the rows. So that's how we'll kind of assemble it. So we'll have kind of an idea if you want all of that the same color. And I think we're even going to have like a little coloring sheet so you can like test some stuff out. And then we'll have some variations of that. So the finished size of each block, so I'm going to cut them down to 8.5 inches, so they'll be 8 inches. This is from my memory, so I think this is right. I think I'm doing a finished block of 8 inches, which means that after we quilt it, we'll trim them to 8.5 inches, sorry. And then when it's sewn, it'll end up being 8 inches, if that makes sense. So we're starting out with like these 10.5 inch squares with like 10 inch batting pieces and 10 inch back pieces, but we will be cutting them quite a bit down. It's really not that much. It'll be like 1 inch on each side, really. So we're not cutting it down a ton. But yeah, so I'm going to be starting out with like larger batting pieces and back pieces than I ultimately need, but it's because we're going to be quilting each of these before assembling them, because I'm going to do the quilt as you go process. I think that'll be fun with these. Then we can play around as we stitch them with the quilting. So like, for example, like this one that we might get done pretty quickly with, and I'm sure some of the other ones will get done early in the week. Then the last day or two, whatever time we have left, we can assemble them and quilt them. So ultimately we'll end up with a bunch of pre-quilted blocks basically, and then we will assemble them with the quilt as you go process, which is with the sashing pieces, and we'll be going through that process as we do this project. I think I'm going to get one more stitch in here, and that'll be it. Ooh, I'm getting tangled. What's going on back there? I think I just dropped the needle. So I think that's my plan, and I will have it more written out and visual for everyone this week. I'm hoping, if I can really crank on it tomorrow. And of course, you are welcome to do this however you like. There'll be 26 blocks. I do like having those 4 in the corners and then the 26, so you end up with 30 if you do it that way, and that makes for a nice 5 block by 6 block quilt. So I do like that. So then you can use any stashing size you want, really, or play around with it however you want, but I'll be doing ultimately 8-inch finished blocks, so I'm cutting them to 8.5 inches, and a quilt as you go process. And I think that'll be cute, I think. Oh, I have my yoga block here from I'm going to use that from on Saturday, where I could have my feet a little raised on the chair here. All right, I need to cut a whole new piece of the gray, so I'm doing about my 24 inches again here. Oh, Kimberly says if you can embroider for 5.5 hours in one day, figuring out all the quilt stuff will be a snooze in the park. I actually have it written out in notes, but to translate those notes into like sentences that are cohesive, that other people can possibly understand, versus my math scribbles, that's the challenge. But other than that, I think and Jenna and I talked it out a little bit this morning and figured out a little bit more of it. So it's all there. It's just not congealed into a showable way yet. But yeah, I think it'll be fun. I'm excited for all the quilting. This is going to be a heavy quilting year for us here, I think. Someone asked about doing like, oh yeah, I was going to talk about this, about quilting, on a live session, like a marathon live, like how we did on Saturday for the granny square quilt, because we still have to quilt the granny square. I don't want to just like let that one, dissolve, right? I want to work on that yet. So what I think I might do for that is, so I still have that problem of not really having a sewing machine right now that I can put a walking foot on and do straight line stitching, unless I do like ruler straight line stitching, which I'm not really wanting to do. So my thought is I will bring that quilt to my parents' house next time I'm there and do all of the straight line stitching, which is basically like the tacking everything down before we do the pretty decorative stitching. The decorative stitching I can do here. So I'm thinking if I can do all the straight line stitching at my parents' house, then I can bring it back here, and then we can have a marathon session of like doing all the really decorative border stitching that we were planning on doing for that one. Like that had a ton of crazy border stitching happening, and it had like some crazy within the block stitching. I think we were deciding not to do that. I think we were going to stick to a couple of the borders. So that alone would be several hours worth of work. So I think we could definitely do a long, Saturday marathon for some quilting. But I do think I need to do that straight line stitching, get that done and out of the way first. Then it'll be all prepped for all our other fun quilting. So I don't know. I thought that might be a plan for that. Then we can keep moving along with that the granny square quilt. And I just think that'd be so cute. And we should do an actual granny square Afghan like pillow or something to match it. I do have a spare like pillow form in the basement, Because we talked about, like, you know, the granny square quilt is mimicking an actual granny square crocheted Afghan, except for, you know, in quilt form. We talked about that it would be fun to actually do a crocheted granny square, like go through that process and do like a little crochet tutorial, because it is a fun project for like a beginning crocheter too. So we could do like a super basic crochet lesson and make the granny square. I'd have to like plan that out a little bit, but I think that would be kind of fun. Just a thought. But yeah, I'd love to do that soon, actually, getting that granny square all sewn out and then or like, you know, straight line quilted and then do like a marathon. That'd be awesome. Just dang, if I could do that with all the quilts like every other month, just like crank out, do a marathon quilt session on these guys, get them freaking all out the door. Dang, that would feel good. That would be a whole pile of unfinished projects, freaking dunzo. And I'm feeling the need for all of that. Oh my gosh, Robin says, dropped my needle, ran a magnet wand everywhere. I should get one of those. And it's just gone, oh no, then dropped your phone. Oh, and Penguin and Fish ended up on the floor. Oh no. Oh god. Yeah, that needle drop, that's a scary one. That freaks me out. Never fun when that happens. I did a TikTok about that, with that, oh no, no, that sound. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. But yeah, I did a video of dropping the needle. That's game over. I'll do a forward stitch here. We're almost done with the gray. I might actually need some more floss to finish this up, but we got that one more bit. One more half of this 3 strands. I'm glad we went with the gray. He's such a pretty gray kitty. I think the purple's kind of fun too. It's fun. Like, we should do like one of these with like some silly fun colors. But I don't know. Was feeling the gray. Kimberly says, next marathon I'm pre-packing drinks and snacks and a timer to get up and move. Oh, that's smart. Yeah, I did have power breakfast before our stitch along on Saturday for sure. Then I was pretty good. I was getting a little hungry towards the end, but not too shabby. All right, I'm going to just jump up and start up here. I figure this jump is pretty much in line with this leg here, so it'll be pretty hidden. So this would be, you know, I could have done his feet white and stuff too, so like you could actually do this so it looks more like your kitty if you have a kitty. Oh, someone asked earlier if I would get a cat, and the answer is no. Someday maybe like an outdoor cat, but not a house cat. I don't like the idea of indoor animals, like just the hair and you know, all my craft stuff is here and I don't want hair on it, and John's family is super allergic, and actually, I think our family's a little allergic too, a little less allergic maybe, but allergies nonetheless, and I don't know, in a small little house, I don't think we deal with that well, so no kitty, and we don't really want just to add a cat wandering around the neighborhood, which is not great anyway. But I like the idea of a kitty, and I like visiting Chad Kitty. But Chad's a pretty hefty outdoor kitty who tolerates the indoors when we let him. And when he just wants to chill. But I definitely don't think he'd be happy as a permanent indoor kitty. He's got lots of woods and area all to himself, though. Like, I don't think he's a threat to the local birds or anything like that. Oh my gosh, I'm realizing I have like one more stitch down there that I should have got earlier, but I think I may have enough to grab it. Oh, that was silly. I should have done that earlier, but I think we have just enough. Oh, perfect. That is some perfect freaking thread chicken right there. I think we have just enough to weave that in. Heh. Yes, let's do it. That's great. 1, 2. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's freaking 9:30 already. How did that happen? Jeez. I think that stitching for 5.5 hours messed up like my time estimation. I was thinking, oh, now we can start the stripes and then we'll get that done and whatever, but it's been an hour already. All right, well, we got the outline of the kitty, and I think the gray is awfully pretty. I do like that gray. So we'll do the little stripies in orange for no reason other than I think that this orange in particular, this is the Euro Peach, so it's a peachy orange, looks really pretty with this gray. So I just like this color palette in general together, and I think that's our main deal here. So, all right, you guys. Well, thanks again for joining me here again tonight. It's fun to be working on this project again. So we'll continue on the letter C tomorrow. And yeah, later on this week we'll be talking about the quilting of it all, like, and how I'm strategizing on doing that. And you're welcome to do it how I do it, or, you know, do it in your own way, or even not make a quilt, make something else out of it. But yeah, so again, this is going to be that ABC quilt project that we're going to be working on throughout the year. We're going to be doing 2 a month. The first week of the month is the first letter. Second week of the month is the second letter. I'm considering this the first week of March, even though we still have today, which is February. Which makes it the last day for the Chad Kitty one, the catnap under the jade embroidery with the freebie, that washi tape that goes with it. And yeah, new embroidery, so keep an eye out for that tomorrow. So yeah, happy rest of your February. All right, have a lovely evening. I will be back here again at 8:30 p.m. Central tomorrow. Good night.